I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside. It's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off-road. The guy managed the group. He was like, what are you doing in this beautiful car? I'm like, I'm going off-road. He's like, are you sure? Because you can use one of ours. And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability, as well as its robust interior, are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show on the Stansberry Radio Network.
This is James Altucher. Welcome again to the James Altucher Show, and I have Judy Joo, Iron Chef Judy Joo, on the show. Now, Judy, do people actually use that as a title? Like, do they call you Miss Iron Chef or anything like that?
You know what? It's funny because, yeah, kind of. I mean, just because I do so much of Iron Chef in the States as well in terms of judging, that they always introduce me as Iron Chef UK, Judy Joo, and I think that's part of the franchise is trying to, enforce into the watcher that it is this like worldwide global franchise, and there's Iron Chef Thailand and Iron Chef Australia and Iron Chef Vietnam and Japan, and so it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's this title like president. Once you have it, you always have it. I guess. I don't know.
Well, and we'll get into there's a lot of interesting things in your background, and we'll get into the whole meat of the story in a second. But do all the Iron Chefs ever get together for like dinner, and everyone's just like criticizing the restaurant?
Well, in America, we did this epic Iron Chef global battle where they flew in the Iron Chef from Thailand, they flew in the guys from Australia, and they flew in me from the UK. And so, we kind of had this big powwow. We didn't go up against each other and go out to dinner, but I think if we did, it would be a lot of critiquing. But
a lot of knives being pulled out.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, we just take food for what it is.
Have you ever met like the original Iron Chef, Chairman Kaga?
No, never. I would love to though. He's crazy.
Wow, he's kind of like mysterious and in the background now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of obsessed with that original series. It was very cultish and kind of crazy. Yeah.
Well, so let's lead up to that, because your story is so interesting to me. You've totally. You're what I call a choose-yourself person. You chose yourself to basically have the career of your dreams, because you started off with a completely different career. So yeah. Why don't you, rather than me saying it to the audience, why don't you say, what was your original job? Where did you come from?
Well, I came from New Jersey. So
where in New Jersey? I'm from New Jersey.
I was born in Summit, New Jersey. Lived in Berkeley Heights. Went to school in Summit, and then, had a tiger mother upbringing. Very classic Asian immigrant parents. Had to go to certain schools, so I ended up at Columbia University majoring in engineering, and from there, went into finance. I was at Morgan Stanley selling fixed income derivatives for about 5 years. And then I decided I couldn't take that anymore and enrolled in cooking school at the FCI in Soho, New York, and never looked back. And so I've kind of had this like choose your own adventure type of life where I was kind of embarking on different things all along the way.
That totally is a choose your own adventure, but we have to take a step back just because what was going on Wall Street? Like, what was going through your head? What did you do? Like, I know you were there for about 5 years, so that's a long time. You know, you were building a real career there with potentially tens of millions of dollars you were leaving on the table.
Yeah, and when I was there so long ago, it was, money grew on trees type Wall Street days. And I just didn't love it. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm schlepping bonds. I don't love bond math. I don't love fixed income
I thought everybody loved bond math.
Like I couldn't care less about like convexity and duration and all these words. And I just I don't know. I mean, I was good at it. I worked with great people. Everybody's really smart in the financial services and very driven, like type A personalities, which is kind of fun to be in such an environment where you're always learning and you're learning through osmosis. And but I just couldn't take it anymore, and I found that all I wanted to do on the weekends was just to read cookbooks and cooking magazines and get into food.
So you loved cooking. You were working Wall Street during the week, but you just were obsessed with cooking and food and everything. Were you into cooking as a kid?
Yeah, I would say I'm more obsessed with eating versus cooking. Which
now people are going to get this image that you're like 600 pounds. I just want to say for the audience, you are the opposite of that. You do not look like you eat very much at all. So,
well, Asian girls, we have this wooden leg that's hidden and invisible to the rest of the world, where we just like chow down and everything goes into the wooden leg.
That must be true, because when I look at your photos, it does not look like you're an eater. But go ahead. So you're obsessed with eating.
Yeah, and also just because of my strong science background, the world of cooking as well as particularly pastry really appealed to me. I mean, working in a kitchen is just like working in a laboratory where you have controls and variables. You're doing experiments. It matters if you cook something low or slow or under high heat. It matters what kind of fat you use, if it's butter or lard or oil. It makes a big difference if you whisk something, mix something, or fold it.
So like your engineering background oddly applied to both Wall Street and cooking. Like you're able to kind of take a similar skill set and apply it in both directions.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, cooking is all science. I think science is applied to many different things in life. Yeah.
But when you're on Wall Street, though, again, like, how did you decide, okay, this is a huge decision. I'm going to leave, again, millions of dollars on the table, and I'm going to go to the French Culinary Institute for school. Like, that must have been, like, your parents must have been going crazy.
Oh, yeah, they're, like, suicidal, practically. And you know what? I was my husband at the time. He was just like, you know what? Just do what you want. He was really supportive, and he kind of acted as my sponsor, like my Medici, if you will. I was like, you do this. Go back to school, reinvent yourself, become a student again, and find out what color your parachute is. And I never thought in a million years if it would lead to this. I thought I'd have like really cool birthday parties for my kids or something, but it ended up turning into a viable career. So
when were you at the French Culinary Institute?
I haven't been there in a while, but I am going on Monday.
No, but I mean, when did you go to school there?
Oh, when did I go? Oh, sorry. I graduated 2004.
Okay, because I've eaten there. They just so people know, this is on Broadway, right? And it's a restaurant also where the students cook.
It's true. It's called L'École. It's in Soho on Broadway in New York City. Yep. And
it's excellent. I've eaten there a few times. The students cook great. Maybe you've even cooked for me before there. So
possibly.
So it's very good.
Yeah.
And so then what happened? You then went. So first off, I just want to see what the leap is. And I don't know if you've ever really spoken about this, but did you have like money in the bank that was comfortable so you could make this leap? Or like how much money were you leaving on the table when you left Wall Street? Because I think people are always afraid when they make that jump that they just they can't do it because they're never going to be able to pay their bills if they pursue their passion. So like what did it take for you to make that jump just financially?
Well, I mean, financially, I mean, I did have savings, you know, because, I mean, back then you're getting paid quite handsomely, even at my level, and you're working so much you don't even have time to spend your money, you know? Like, I think it took 1 week of vacation the entire year.
So what does that mean? Like, that doesn't mean $100 million. What does it mean? Was it in seven figures?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say like healthy six digits in the bank, you know. But I mean, I really got supported by my husband. You know, he continued working in finance, and I didn't have to, you know, provide all of the rent. You know, I had him, you know, paying for most of my living expenses, which was great. So I really have to. I kind of owe it to him for being my sponsor in that sense. But it's difficult, you know. You really have to downgrade your life.
And is your skipping ahead? Is your life more hectic now or less hectic because you're both a chef and a TV star?
It's crazy, but it's so fun. I mean, I definitely have a very high fun factor with my job. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I don't know what I'm going to be filming. You know, like I just did a live TV show the other day, which was crazy. I just, you know, I just came from another interview now, just promoting Korean food made simple, and so my days are really varied. And of course, I have my restaurant in London. I'm working on new concepts now as well, and yeah, it's like being an entrepreneur, which I think is fun because you get to be creative, you're working for yourself, and you get to be involved in projects that you want to be involved in.
Well, it's very much an entrepreneur. You're like a solopreneur where your different media outlets are various streams of income, and you are constantly trying to improve yourself, improve your exposure to your audience, and develop different, you know, income streams from it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So how did you make the initial jump to, you know, being a chef? Oh, first off, was your boss flipping out when you told them what you were going to do from Wall Street?
No. I mean, everybody in finance is really, you know, professional and supportive. I actually just had drinks with my old boss the other day here in New York, and they love it. You know, it's kind of like the person who escaped and actually made it.
Yeah, they're all jealous. They all want to be like comic book artists and chefs and all this stuff, and you did it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people do make the switch, but it's you know, I've been very lucky and very blessed that I've made the switch, and it's happened in such a way where it's, you know, getting on TV, doing the Iron Chef thing, and I've made the switch, and it's actually worked, you know, in a way that I never imagined.
But it wasn't just luck. So you basically trained yourself at one of the best schools to train yourself to be a chef, and then you're, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and you basically introduce yourself to him, and he says, "Come and work for me." Like this is like a dream come true. How did that happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the common perception that it's very hard to get a job in these kitchens. It's actually not that hard to get a job there. It's hard to stay. Because they haze you. It's brutal. The hours are crazy. You know, and it's just a very physically tiring and demanding environment. You know, you're working long hours. You're in front of a hot stove, or you're on your feet for you know, forever, and it's just tough. You know, so it's.
What do you mean by hazing? Like, did they try to give you like bad ingredients and make you cook something, or what happened?
You have to you know, like they give you a fork and you have to juice like 5 crates of lemons with it, or like you get like you know bushels and bushels of like spinach, and you have to pick the stems off. You know, so you get like crazy mundane monotonous jobs like that basically take 4 hours. And you're doing the same thing
is this
for 4 hours.
Gordon Ramsay doing this hazing, or just the other coworkers in the kitchen?
Gordon, by that time, was already well into his television career. I've only met him a few times, yeah.
But he's the one who initially hired you for the kitchen, though.
Yes, but I mean, he just happened to be there, yeah.
Wow. So that is really kind of an element of luck to it.
There is, and I think that in life that luck does play a part, but I think to a certain extent you also make your own luck, and you can meet all the right people and it can never amount to anything, or you can meet the right people and make an impact and make something change in your life.
Well,
take the left road or the right road. Yeah.
Let's look at how you made your own luck. So you had savings. Yeah. You made the decision to quit a very high-paying job, which is very hard to do. You went to school for cooking, even though you started at the bottom, coming from the top of your field, going to the bottom of the field, and then you went to the best restaurant in the world and got hired by the best chef in the world after introducing yourself to him. So you very much created your own luck. Like luck favors the prepared, and you were very prepared.
Yeah, it's true. I think that one thing also is that because I have a strong education, as well as because I am coming from the corporate world, I've been, part of that is like you're used to like networking. You're used to public speaking. You're used to saying and meeting people and following up and working hard. And I think that all of that is part of the equation to become successful in anything that you do.
That's a really great point. And so now this is really just the beginning of your career when you're in the kitchen there. How did this go from the next phase, which enters the media stuff?
So I was working there. I was freelancing. I was writing. I started doing appearances on TV shows out in London, regular guest appearances, cooking, doing demos, and then the Iron Chef.
How did that happen? Like, how did you start doing guest appearances places? Like, how did you put yourself out there?
I met a producer just at a restaurant opening, and she just liked me, liked what I had to say, thought I was television friendly. I'm not a complete eyesore, which is part of the battle with television also. And
that's my problem. That's why we're doing an audio-only podcast.
No.
Well, like when you say she liked what you had to say, what did you have to say? You were just talking about like cooking.
Yeah, talking about cooking, but also I was talking about Korean food, and Korean food, was relatively still unknown back then. And everybody's always curious about different ethnic cuisines. Plus, I'm a female, so, female chefs are very far and few. So she really wanted to promote, more women chefs. So I have that going for me as well. And also, like, everybody loves this career changer story. So it's just the fact that I have such a different background as well. So I had a number of things that kind of make me different than your regular Italian chef, I say, which are like 1,000 of them, and just took it from there.
Well, let me ask you about that. Like, most women cook. Most men don't cook. I don't know if this sounds sexist or what, but it's just like the reality. Yeah. Everybody talks about their mothers cooking. Why are all the famous chefs male, and there's very few famous female chefs when it's the mothers who did all the cooking?
You know what? I think that just has to do with the fact that the kitchen environment is really difficult. It's long hours. It's physically exhausting. It's physically demanding. And I think it's just not conducive or friendly. It's not necessarily if you're going to play stereotypes, a female-friendly environment, I guess, in the same way that the trading floor isn't either. There's lots of yelling and screaming, swearing, and you see very few women on the trading floor. Now it's getting better. It's getting better in kitchens as well, but it's not one of these, I guess, stereotypical areas that women choose to be in.
That's really funny because I would scream at my ex-wife all the time when she was cooking. Okay, so now you meet this producer and she starts booking you for all these gigs, and what happens next?
The Iron Chef casting call comes around, and the entire country goes for it just because it's such a powerful franchise and brand, and everybody's heard the show or seen the show in some form in the U.S. or in the original Japanese version, etc. And I go to casting call after casting call, and ended up landing the gig. So one of the 4 Iron Chefs in the UK, and used that as a platform because the production company who does it in the States consulted on the production in the UK. And they brought me over to do judging for Next Iron Chef and Iron Chef America. So I've been one of the resident stable judges on that show for a number of years now, which is completely fun. And doing more and more work with Food Network and Cooking Channel, obviously, with my show out on Cooking Channel now, with Korean Food Made Simple. And, it's kind of been a wild ride, and television is part of it.
And you run a restaurant in London.
Yes. So the Playboy Club, they found me through Iron Chef. I have to say it was a bit of a, cheeky marketing move on their behalf to put a female in front of their kitchen, and it's been fun. I mean, they put me in front of a lot of different feminist reporters, and somebody, and obviously, I'm educated, I'm somewhat articulate, and just can handle all of the questions. And in this day and age, I don't really find that Playboy is that risque anymore. I mean, it's almost cute. You can't even watch a music video without seeing things that are more salacious than what you find with the Playboy brand. Honestly, so it's fun. I think life is about creating memories also, and there's a massive fun factor with working with a brand like Playboy,
sure.
and a super brand. It's got 98% worldwide recognition, and it's been hysterical, fun. Challenging, everything above, yeah.
Well, is it a popular restaurant? Like, when I think Playboy, I don't think food.
It's a casino. It's a big venue. We have a casino. It's a high-rolling casino. It's members only. It is a fine dining restaurant. We have private dining rooms, private gaming rooms, a cigar terrace and lounge, cocktail bar area, sports bar, and a nightclub.
And what were some of the things that you did to kind of put your own mark on the restaurant once you started there?
Well, it's American food in its essence, but I do a lot of Korean and Asian twists. Like, we make our own kimchi at the Playboy Club, which I think is great. We have a lot of Asian-infused dishes, a lot of Korean elements and end up on the menu, which I think is very natural right now. You can't seem to go out without finding kimchi on some part of a menu and anywhere in New York City. But, I also, like, in my sports bar, I have all the great American bar food, so I do really amazing buffalo wings made with, fantastic artisanal cheese for the blue cheese sauce, and we use great wings, and I've kind of made this bespoke hot sauce that we dip them in, and so everything, even if it's simple as a buffalo wing, is made with a lot of care and trying to perfect it, so it's absolutely delicious.
Oh my God, I can't even think of a buffalo wing that would be delicious. So tell me, what should I do? Like, let's say I have chicken. How can I make
a buffalo
delicious
wing?
Yeah, a delicious buffalo wing.
Well, I think I'm kind of a purist. I think you have to use Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Okay, and
which is part of the original
in any store?
equation. Yeah, and then to that, I add a whole slew of stuff. So a lot of people will just use the Frank's Red Hot sauce, like, in its pure form, but I don't. I like to add some brown sugar, sweeten it up, some garlic. I like to add mustard to give it a bit more depth of flavor, even, a little bit of ginger sometimes. I mean, so you can add a whole bunch of other things, like shallots, to kind of make that hot sauce have a bit more depth of flavor and complexity.
How did you think to add mustard to something like that?
Mustard's good on everything.
Okay, that's a good thing to know. What if I'm having, like, pasta?
Yeah,
I love pasta?
Mustard. I love mustard, yeah. So fun.
All right, what's another recipe I can make, like, tonight for my new wife, who I don't scream at?
I think you should make... I have a really great recipe that I've done on Korean Food Made Simple called bosam, which is a twice-cooked pork belly. It's just awesome in every way.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
So twice cooked, what does that mean? Because I don't know anything. Like, I put it in the oven twice?
So basically you take skinless, a pork belly. It has a skin on, boneless though, and you just boil it a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, with some Asian aromatics. So you got ginger, garlic, some scallions, onion, a few peppercorns if you want, and some Korean soybean paste or miso paste. Boil that till it's really soft, and then take it out, rip the skin off, and then you make a really kind of succulent glaze, which I do with some Korean chili sauce, honey, sweeten it up, sesame oil, and you smear that all over the top of it. And with some soy sauce and ginger again, and then you bake that in the oven, broil it, get it all caramelized and nice. You take it out, slice it thinly, and then you throw it on top of some rice with some lettuce leaves and some samjang sauce if you want to, or you can make another sauce or a schmear with some doenjang, sesame seeds, some ginger, onions, and just shove that in your mouth, and it's addictive.
Wow, I'm gonna have to play back this recording, and I'm gonna cook this. But
I will send you the recipe. Definitely.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, and then I'll even post it on the blog and everything. But
yeah, we've got pictures, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So when you started doing, like, let's say the Iron Chef and judging, this is more of like almost like an acting role. Like you have to act like an Iron Chef, like, really tough. So how was that for you, like being, playing a role almost?
You know what? It's difficult on Iron Chef, particularly when you're competing, because you hardly have time to cook, let alone talk and say and try to construct witty, pithy commentary. So it's hard, and you have like 8 cameras on you at all times, at all angles, and it is acting because they want you to be tough, especially when you're judging. You're supposed to be one of the toughest judges in America, but it's kind of fun as well, because I obviously know my food and I know my stuff. I have a large repertoire of expertise. Being a French-trained Korean-American Londoner, it doesn't matter what you throw at me. I probably had it before. I understand it, and I could probably make it.
And did you ever make a contestant cry because you were so harsh in your judging?
No.
Did you see any of the contestants ever cry?
Yeah, I've seen people cry when they lose. Yeah.
And how are they comforted? How do they deal with that? I don't think I could deal with that.
It's part of the competition. Somebody's got to win and somebody has to lose, and you just say next time, or it's just what can you say? You cooked awesome, like we had to just pick somebody and it was minuscules above, and a lot of times with Iron Chef it really is somebody is just a hairline fracture ahead of somebody else.
Wow, but there's some subjectivity to it, right? Like, because you're just determining everybody's got different taste buds.
Of course, and there's subjectivity to everything. Everybody has different opinions on art, or judging sports. There's a technical capability and execution as well as interpretation. Same with music. So there's subjectivity in everything that we do, but I think that there is a certain standard of what is universally kind of delicious, almost. I wouldn't say that everybody has the same taste buds, but as a chef, you try to make something that is the most accessible and welcoming to all taste buds.
So you mentioned earlier that cooking is a lot like a science, and yet cooking's one of those things where you take like your grandmother's recipe and you tweak it a little bit and you do things and it's delicious. Like, it's one of those sciences that really depends on things that have been handed down for generations, as opposed to a lot of science which kind of throws out earlier generations' work. Like take medicine as an example. Of course, we use some medicines from prior generations, but sometimes the medicines from prior generations we realize actually kills people. But with food, it seems like, I've got my secret grandmother's recipe and it's going to be the way I'm going to win. Like, what is it about cooking that, how has science sort of moved along the art of cooking?
I think it's both, because there's some foods that have just died over the ages. I was looking at some of the old Playboy Club menus from the 1960s and 70s in London, and they had things on there like turtle soup. Like, nobody eats turtle soup anymore. And so I think that the food is just as dynamic as a lot of different industries as well. But, there is this sense of nostalgia, and people have such strong food memories, and everybody remembers something that their mom used to make or something that their grandmother used used to make. And it's so personal. I think that's part of the reason why certain recipes are handed down like heirloom.
Yeah, so like what's a recipe your grandmother will cook that you have kind of upgraded?
Probably her silken tofu soup stew. It's good, and my mom makes it, which is really good. It hasn't changed that much, I would have to say. Like, maybe we use some nicer cuts of meat instead of Spam.
That would help.
Yeah, and cut up hot dogs, things like Korean War rations.
Although I'm starting to think the cut up hot dogs might be good.
Yeah, actually, there's a stew called budae-jjigae, which is made of all of the war rations, where you have, cut up Vienna sausages and Spam hanging out in there, some corn, like baked beans, or like whatever they could get their hands on was kind of thrown into this big pot and stewed up with some chilies and spice.
So Judy, probably a lot of people are listening to this and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this woman made a lot of interesting choices and she managed to live or pursue the career of her dreams. And a lot of people think to themselves, I can't do this. What are the common excuses you think people have, and how do they get over them in order to recreate their careers? How do they find what they want to do? It seems like you found it because this was how you were spending your free time. Then once you find it, how do you start to aim yourself to make this leap that you've made?
I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of being brave and figuring out what you love to do is part of it, and I think that most, if not all, hobbies can be made into a career. If you love golf, you can find something in the golfing world to make that into a viable career,
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that if you love what you do, that the money will eventually follow, and I think that it's really just about hard work and passion. And if you work hard and you're smart about the way you work and you're passionate about it, it'll happen eventually.
So it really helped you, though, that your spouse, your partner, was also very supportive. I mean, what if somebody's spouse is not so supportive? Would you say find a new spouse, or what would you do? What would you tell that person? I don't know.
I mean, obviously, with a partnership, it makes things more difficult because all of a sudden, like, you're not home at dinner because you're working every night for dinner. You're not home on Saturday night. You're swallowing the irony of working the party that you used to go to, And
you're the help now.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Chefs are notorious for having ridiculously long hours, and it's an impact on the entire family. So, obviously, do what you love, but, you also love your family, and you love your kids, and you love your wife, or your husband. So there has to be something of a balance, but you can pursue careers in food where you're not working restaurant hours. I mean, you can be a food journalist, you can do food media, you can work in television for food, you can do, recipe testing or development. So there's so many different things. You can be a food photographer. There's so many different things that you can do within food that don't make you work, nights and every single night.
So did you ever when you were making this decision, did you ever sit down and kind of make a list of all of the possible ways you could break into this career, or did you have your heart fixed on kind of just one direction?
No, I didn't. I kind of I've also had this weird thing within the food industry where my first job in the food industry was at Saveur magazine. So I was working in editorial and in their test kitchen because I didn't want to work those hours. And so I was working regular business hours, and then it just kind of evolved into more things and working odd hours and then freelancing. And now it's because I freelance and I work for myself. I kind of have this thing where it's feast or famine. I'm either ridiculously busy or I have nothing going on.
And when you have nothing going on, do you get stressed out? Do you start making calls like, I need to get another show, or I need to book something?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but there's always so much that you can be doing, I can work more on this, or I should contact this person and write this, or whatever, right now I don't have another show lined up, but I'm working on my book, and I'm working on a new restaurant concept, and so there's always kind of things in the pipeline. If they're not immediately pressing, you're always looking ahead to the next big project.
What's a restaurant concept mean? What are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of doing my own place. Yeah, outside.
And
Playboy
will it be
Club.
like Korean or Korean American or Asian fusion or
modern
what do you think?
Korean, kind of sexy, fashionable Korean food.
What does sexy mean in the context of food?
Just kind of an environment that is a sexy setting. So kind of cool, nice bar, good drinks concept, a place that you want to kind of hang out and has a fun vibe about it.
Can you make it in New York City so I can go and say, hey, I know the owner here, so just I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm a VIP here. You should make it in New York.
I would love to. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens. I have no idea.
And have you thought about doing like a cookbook? You know, kind of like an Anthony Bourdain style.
Yeah, I'm my book's going to come out in 2015, so stay tuned for that as well.
Oh, good. And what's your husband think now?
Well, we're divorced now.
Oh my gosh, what happened? He was like my hero for a second.
I know. Not anymore.
Okay, you're my hero, but what happened? I'm sorry to hear this. Like what?
Oh, it's okay. It happens to more than half of the population these days in America. So
I'm divorced and remarried as well. So
there you go. You're part of the statistic too.
But could he not handle the long hours?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't crazy about that, but I wasn't, working like that all the time. All that stuff gets complicated, and
then you started the TV show. You think he got a little jealous, maybe, or envious of how successful?
I don't know. I think it was the culmination of a lot of different things. It just gets messy and irreconcilable differences. Traveling apart, stuff like that. And you just drift.
When you were going through the divorce, did this make you a more harsh judge on the Iron Chef shows?
No, it doesn't make you more harsh judge.
Bad.
But I know exactly. But I think that I don't think you should ever cook angry.
That's really interesting.
Because I think that energy gets transformed, transfers to the food somehow. Because once I was really angry and I made brownies and they turned out to be mean angry brownies, they didn't taste good.
Did they make everyone who eat them angry? Was the anger contagious in the food?
I don't think so. No, but I just didn't think that they tasted as good. And it was a recipe that I made all the time. And for some reason, when I made them, because I was angry, they turned out angry.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I agree with that. I don't know why I agree with that, but that seems to make a lot of sense to me. That you put your love into your art, and people are going to sense it and feel it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, it is an outlet. The plate is a canvas.
Let's say I have the bravery and I have a supportive, environment around me. What's kind of the next step before I make this leap? Because let's say I have bills to pay and I want to make sure I'm making the right decision and I'm scared.
Yeah. I mean, you will get paid something. And a lot of people are in this industry, obviously, making money and living their life. So it's not like you're going to be homeless.
Right.
And it just depends on what you're used to, So if you're a banker or a lawyer or a consultant, you're going to downgrade your life, But, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that work in this industry and do just fine and have families and have kids and, have apartments and roofs over their heads. So it's not that bad.
So I think kind of the message is, because not everybody wants to be a chef. Some people want to be writers. Some people want to be athletes or work in the sports industry or work in the marketing industry. Yeah. So, but just with every industry, I think it's an important point to remember is that there's thousands of people in that industry making a living, no matter what industry you're coming from.
Exactly.
The bravery comes in, though, where you actually went back to school and started from scratch when you were already at a pretty high point in your old industry. How did you develop that bravery?
You know what? It's also just it's how much you hate your current job, too. I think it's part of it also. So that motivates you. And also how much you love the industry you want to be in. If you love something that much and you have that much passion for it, you're going to want to do it and throw yourself into it.
I like what you were saying earlier, though, about all the different possibilities you had in the food industry, and I strongly encourage people to make a list of all the possibilities. So let's say you're interested in basketball, but you're obviously not 8 feet tall. Make a list of all the ways you could be a sports agent, you could write about basketball. There's many ways to make a living in any industry, no matter what your love is.
Definitely. I mean, you could even work in fields adjacent to basketball, like making basketball, like helping design things, like the ergonomics of basketball station chair or like seats or something, or like it's like designing golf clubs even, or designing tennis rackets, or working
It's so
with
funny you
brands.
mention that, because I once got really obsessed with making a new and better tennis racket, and I got really into the science of the strings and the materials and everything, but then I wasn't that interested in it, so I gave up. But it was fun for a brief moment. I considered it.
Yeah, I mean, you could, and in the food industry, you can work at Whole Foods. You don't have to be a chef per se. You can work in marketing at Whole Foods. You can work in their strategic development teams. You can bring your business skills that you garnered on Wall Street and work in their operating costs or whatever, and figure out what their next strategic business development plans could be.
Well, is it fair to say that you've replaced or exceeded your income from your old industry with your new industry?
Not quite yet.
Wow, that's impressive. Given all the TV shows, all of your chef here, chef there, all the appearances.
Yeah, no, I haven't
Wall
reached
Street
my old
man is
income
just
level
hard
yet.
to beat.
But I will, and then I'm sure I will surpass that. Yeah.
It sounds like you're having a lot more fun, though.
I am, and definitely, if I had stayed in finance, I would be making a ton more money now than I am now in cooking. I mean, you just can't compete with the salaries in those industries. In the cooking world, but I'm a much happier person. I'm a better person for it, and life is too short not to do what you love.
Yeah, I agree with that. So now I was going to ask you all sorts of questions about bond convexity, but it doesn't sound like you're really into that at all.
Nope, I left that world behind me. Yeah.
But the economy does affect you. Like, if you're thinking of opening up a restaurant, you've got to get investors. You've got to find a great location. You've got to got to hope the economy is going strong. So if you're expensive, you could charge those prices.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to write an entire business model, figure out what all their costs are, your overheads, what you have to cost each dish, what your markup's going to be. I mean, it's running a business, and it's math.
How many restaurants succeed?
I think in New York there's something like an 80 or 85% closure rate within the first 3 to 5 years.
Wow. I mean, there's so many restaurants in New York. Every block's got like 5 restaurants. I can understand, but 85%, I didn't realize it was that high.
Something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was shockingly high. Yeah.
Why does anybody even start a restaurant then?
Because people love food.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of restaurants that are started by vanity projects, and I think there are a lot of talented chefs out there who make great food, but they're very poor businessmen, and
so
they don't have their costs under control.
What are like the most common mistakes a chef might make? Or a
putting things
restaurateur?
on the menu that he thinks will sell, but then don't, and not changing them quickly enough. You really have to create a menu that is welcoming and accessible for everyone. And I think that a lot of chefs treat their restaurants like vanity projects, and they're like, well, they should eat it this way because this is the way I want them to eat it, where they should really be making a product that is tailored towards their customers' taste.
I have an idea for you that you can use to test out. Let's say you're opening up a restaurant in New York, and you have 200 ideas for recipes. You should make Facebook ads, get the recipe for these Korean buffalo wings, Korean-style buffalo wings, and then, have a landing page with maybe the recipe or maybe the landing page to your restaurant. It doesn't matter. And then you see, of the 200 Facebook ads that you create, one for each recipe, you see what the top 30 click-through rates are. Like, which ads got the most clicks, and there's your menu.
Exactly. It's like burgers, fried chicken, like tacos. Like,
I guess that's true, but you know what though? You could target though New York. You could target like people of certain jobs, so you get certain income levels. You could target like an age group or male, female, so you can so it won't just be kids. You could target like the exact demographic your restaurant's going to cater to.
Yep. That's a great idea.
I come up with an idea every now and then. It's not so bad.
That's
So, Judy, I really hope your restaurant does open up in New York because I'm going to eat there. And good luck on when's your book coming out? In the middle of 2015?
probably more towards the end. Yeah.
Well, I hope you can come back on the show when your book comes out, or when you ever have any project coming up. We'll be happy to talk again. It'll be fun.
Love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think the empowering message here is, do what you love. And I think everybody does have things that they love. Sometimes it's a little difficult to find what it is, but I think it's there, and it's okay to play around a little while to find what it is. But then do the work and build the foundation, and the house gets built.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely.
So thanks again, Judy, and good luck,
you.
and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and we'll definitely speak again.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
For more from James, check out the James Altucher Show on the Stansberry Radio Network at stansberryradio.com and get yourself on the free insiders list today.
Taking a tour of where your finances can go? Good plan. See how Northwestern Mutual's approach to financial planning is designed for your goals. Goals like protecting loved ones, growing investments, and planning for retirement. With our interactive tour, you'll discover how growth and protection work together to help make your dreams a reality. See what goes into a good financial plan at northwesternmutual.com/tour. The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.